Howdy howdy, this is Character Grinding back again with an arena cutoff video for Marvel Contest of Champions. Today I cover round 1 predictions for the new Hyperion and Mephisto arenas. So the first thing I like to always do is compare these arenas to past arenas, as that kind of gives me the cluster to kind of compare against and figure out, look at the trends basically of those past arena cutoffs to kind of figure out what we might expect to see this time around. So when looking at these arenas, it's a kind of an unusual situation since we've got the 5-star feature arenas now, and that Hyperion, even though he's an old champ, he's probably going to be the most desirable old champ since we've had these 5-star arenas. So we'll see if this actually, if these old clusters still apply. So I'm going to still label him as an old champ because he's definitely old, been in the game for a while. He's even been in the 5-star base crystal for a while. And then with Mephisto, we've kind of had, I think it's also interesting with the 4-star basic arena. Since the 5-star basic arena has been around, there's basically only been 2 types of results, kind of the higher end that we've seen with Hela and most recently with Medusa, and then the ones that we've seen the lower end, which is definitely the older champs like an Agent Venom, even Crossbones coming through there, but then even first time 4-star basic champs coming in like Dr. Octopus, who are good, but they were still kind of like on those lower end side. So Mephisto, I think, is going to probably be a little bit higher than what we've seen even for like a Dr. Octopus. That'll be a good, this will be a good determination to see if there's actually going to be a kind of in the middle kind of layer or results compared to other arenas. So anyway, now that I've got these set up, let's take a look at some of these past results. Kind of talked about a little bit of them already. When you look at the 4-star basic arena for what I would have thought to be, you know, mid-level, but in reality some of these are high, like Hela and Medusa with the 3.5, 3.83. This may be the new norm for high. We'll really see when Blade comes in here in a couple weeks to see how high can go now. If we'll ever get back to those days of Starkey and Iceman in the 4-star basic, or if we're always going to be this low now just because of the 5-star feature arena. But anyway, then you also see Kingpin and Dr. Octopus on the lower end of the mid-interest. So Mephisto should be somewhere around here. Might actually start forming up that really in between these two kind of groups, if you will. Now when we jump over to the 4-star old champs, feature champs, you can see that we've had the steady increase over time from Jane Foster to Storm to Gambit to most recently with Luke Cage. Now that 5.1, we did have a dip from the Gambit 5.6 first round cutoff, but then Luke Cage did bounce back quite a bit to 5.8 in the second round. So anyway, you've seen the steady increase, like I said, but with a slight decrease with Luke Cage. But none of these champions still have the value in the game like Hyperion. So I really think Hyperion's going to push these numbers quite higher just because of that. And then based off of input from the community, I think you agree with me. And then when I take a look at the 5-star feature old champs, you can see kind of the same thing. There's been a steady increase, probably comparably so to the same kind of increase, if you will, the steepness of the increase, even though the numbers are much bigger than for the 4-star feature. The comparison increase is very similar here. And again, I think Hyperion's going to kind of blow this out of the water, go much higher than 27 million, just because you can get a 5-star feature of Hyperion if you don't have him yet. This allows you to get him. Now again, I don't think he's going to go push those numbers like Bishop, Sabretooth, and what we most recently seen with Proxima Midnight, but I do think he's definitely going to push these old champ numbers much higher. And one of the things I like to do is get the opinion, your opinion as well, because looking at the trends alone, especially for the first round, isn't the only indicator I like to use. I definitely like to use the input from you, the community. So I do that through the polls that I put on my channel. And here's your opinion. Here's what the folks who found that poll thought about it. So first I asked the 4-star basic Mephisto arena, what did you think the arena cutoffs will be? And 300 of you, 308 as a matter of fact, took the time to vote, and thank you very much. And a number of you also put some context behind your vote in the comment section, so thank you very much for taking the time to do that. You can see out of the 308 votes, the majority, even though it's not a huge majority, the biggest number is 44% of you felt that he would fall in the 3 to 3.5 million, with the 2.5 to 3 million being next. In terms of some of the context and the comments, we'll start first with Mohammed here, who said mid-tier champion in my opinion, because he's only really good for Alliance defense when the opponent doesn't have Blade. Plus, a lot will go for the 5-star Hyperion. He's still a great champ despite being an old champ. And I think even though he calls out the 5-star Hyperion, a number of you also called out in the comment section, not only for the polls but in my preview video, that a lot of people are going to go to the 4-star Hyperion as well. So I think that's an important thing to kind of keep in mind, not only for this Mephisto arena, but also to think about those Hyperion arenas. And then lastly, to kind of go right along with that 3 to 3.5 winning number, it's easy for me to say, Lieutenant Magnum came back with Mephisto is a pain as a war defender, but all the top players will flee to featured. Mephisto lacks the offensive capability to excel in late game content. I think that's an important key there. Mephisto won't exceed Medusa because of this weakness. I think he brings up some very good points, he or she anyway. And again, someone calling out the fact that people will be going over to actually grind in one of the Hyperion arenas. Again, something important to keep coming up for these Hyperion. Speaking of the Hyperion, I want to jump over now to the 5-star feature. I went ahead and put up another poll. What did you think the 5-star feature Hyperion cutoff will be? 283 of you took the time to vote, and some also put it in some context behind the vote in the comments. Thanks again very much for those who took the time to do that. You can see that out of the 283, again, not a strong majority one way or the other. We do have 45% though thinking that he'll land somewhere from 36 to 39 million. And since there's not a higher one, some of you could actually out of that group thinking might push even higher. In terms of the context in the comment section, Fernando here didn't go with the highest number, but did go with 30 to 33 million. Hyperion has been part of the basic for a while, not to mention that coming from the grind of putting up 52 million for Proxima, I don't see a lot of people grinding this weekend. So I think his point is people might be taking a break after all the grinding that went on for Proxima, and that's a good point. And then James T, though, goes with the 33 to 36 million here. Hyperion will, while being an older champ, is still one of the best champs in the game. Most people have pulled the 4-star, then the 5-star, and I think that keeps this score high. And I think these are very good, valid points, as well as looking at the trends. Let's jump into my predictions. Now, I'm going to call these still pretty rough predictions. Up until this point, I felt pretty good because we've been running into a number of scenarios that we've already seen with like a clearly new champ and a low champ, and then maybe an old champ with, you know, medium to low interest, and maybe like a 4-star basic with some kind of interest that we see before. In the case of these arenas, both Mephisto and Hyperion, I've been talking about it throughout this video, but I really do think these are going to be kind of unique in terms of what we've seen so far with after the 5-star feature arena has been added. So with that being said, I really think these predictions are, I won't call them guesstimates. I think there is some science, there are some trend analysis, there's input from you that's coming into all of this, but I don't feel as confident about these predictions as I have over the last couple rounds. But anyway, with that being said, I do think we'll see Hyperion go to 36 million for the 5-star feature arena for the first round cutoff, with a top 10% shard tier of 10.5 million. And then when we jump over to the 4-star 4-star feature Hyperion arena, I think it'll be 7 million, around 7 million for the cutoff, with a top 10% and 4.4 million. And then jumping over to Mephisto, I think it's going to be right around 3 million, maybe 3.1 million for the cutoff, with 11 to 25% at 1.52 million. And lastly, that 3-star feature arena, I don't think having Hyperion there, even though he's a very desirable champ of the game, still is going to have a big impact on this. I think this is going to be very similar to what we've seen for the other old feature champ first round 3-star feature arena cutoffs, which is right around 660,000, with 11 to 25% shard tier at 490. And now and just as a reminder, these predictions are for the veterans bracket, meaning your account's been open for over 61 days. Now, these are the predictions. I always like to also give a grind target so that you give yourself a little buffer, especially in this case. I do highly recommend a buffer if you can go higher, just because I'm not exactly sure about how this arena is going to play out. Not as confident as I have been here with the last couple rounds. So I do think if you really want them, you're going to go to 39 million. At the end of the day, this might end up being overkill for Hyperion. But hey, look, you'll still get the champ. You'll have some extra arena chips to open up some arena crystals, get some more units, etc. Who knows? But you get a 5-star Punisher out of it too. You get a double down on the 5-star champs. That'd be always great. So and then for the top 10%, 11 million for that shard tier if you really want to get it. Then jumping over to the 4-star feature, 8 million if you really want to get that 4-star Hyperion, with a top 10% at 5 million. for that chart here. Then jumping over to Mephisto, I think you'll need 3.4 million if you really to really give yourself some cushion, with 11 to 25% at 1.6 million. And then lastly, to give yourself a little cushion, don't need a lot of cushion here, with a 3-star feature Hyperion Arena, 700,000 should work, with 11 to 25% at 525,000. And again, similar to these predictions, these grind targets are for the veterans bracket. Which brings me to the beginner and intermediate bracket part of this video. And if you're new to these videos, unfortunately, I don't have a ton of historical data or results to look at to kind of come up with the trends like I do for the veterans bracket. Those results just aren't posted, and at the same time, even if they were, those brackets are always very volatile because you've got people coming in and out more regularly than you do with the veterans bracket. There's more consistent numbers typically competing in the veterans bracket, whereas that's not the case with the beginner and intermediate bracket. So with all that being said, just more kind of caution. Past results do not indicate future results. Here's just some rough ranges to kind of consider for the beginners bracket. If you really want that 3-star Hyperion, around 250,000 should work. For the 4-star Mephisto basic, go to 1 million. For the 4-star feature Hyperion, 1.2 million. Now jumping down to the intermediate bracket, for the 3-star feature Hyperion, 550,000 should work. 4-star basic, 1.1 million for Mephisto. And then lastly, for the 4-star feature Hyperion, 1.5 million if you're in the intermediate bracket, meaning your account's been open for 31 to 60 days. So anyway, these are my thoughts for the intermediate beginner as well as for the veterans bracket this time around for the new Hyperion and Mephisto arenas. Would love to hear your thoughts if you have any questions as well, especially if you're thinking that it might be different from what I've kind of thrown out here. Would love to hear about it and discuss it. Throw it on down in the comment section and we can do it, and we can discuss it there, as well as happy to answer any questions you may have. If you like this video, I'd really appreciate you if you click that thumbs up button, and if you like this and other videos I have on the channel, I'd really appreciate a subscribe. Thanks a lot for stopping by, and have a great day.